Hey guys, welcome to Jaxbeautifulyou. In today's video, we are going to be doing a super fun tag video. I was tagged by the beautiful Sharita M here on YouTube, and she came up with this very fun but very difficult tag video where you had to pick out 5 fragrances from your collection that you think deserves to go into the Fragrance Hall of Fame. Now, this video was very difficult for me because I wasn't really sure how to go about it. You know, I didn't know what angle I wanted to kind of go with. I didn't want this to be a top 5 for life type of video. I didn't want this to be, you know, the top 5 fragrances in my collection. What I really wanted was to pick out 5 fragrances that I owned, that I loved, but that I feel like have stood the test of time. What does it take to get into the Hall of Fame? You know, it's not just about my own personal preference or, you know, how much I personally love a fragrance. It can't be like a one-hit wonder. It can't be one of those fragrances that everybody hyped up and then 6 months later everybody was decluttering them. You know, no one-hit wonders here, no fast fashion. It has to be something that got to the top of its game and stayed there. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jackie. Thank you so much for clicking on my thumbnail today. I really appreciate you being here. If you like this video and find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Alright guys, so Sharita did say there were 2 rules to this video. You could not name Baccarat Rouge 540 and you could not name Delina, which I probably would have put Delina exclusive in this list, but she said no Delina, no Baccarat Rouge 540. The very first perfume that I thought of when I thought of this video was none other than the famous, the iconic Coco Mademoiselle by Chanel. Come on, this has to be in here. Talk about a fragrance that needs to be in the Hall of Fame for perfumes. This is definitely a fragrance that got to the top of its game and stayed there for sure. This is not a one-hit wonder. This is not fast fashion. This has been around for a while and it still continues to be one of the best-selling fragrances of all time. So this is the original, the OG. I prefer the intense version, but I didn't want to put the intense version in this video because the OG is the classic. It's iconic. And even if you're not really into fragrances, you know, people who aren't obsessed with fragrances, they're not perfume collectors, frag heads, you know, they just don't know that much about the fragrance community. They still know about this perfume and they can probably recognize it. And that says something, you know? I don't know very many people that don't know about Coco Mademoiselle. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so iconic at this point. It is a fragrance that I personally love and I just think it's absolutely amazing. I don't think that I will ever get tired of this scent profile. I know some people don't like it anymore. Some people, you know, are over it. Some people, you know, this is too strong. Whatever the case may be, no matter how you feel about this fragrance, it definitely deserves to be in the Perfume Hall of Fame. This is a very strong fragrance. It is classy. It is sophisticated. I personally love it and I just think it is so good and very recognizable for sure. So top notes, you have orange, you have bergamot, there's orange blossom. It's very citrusy in the opening, which I love. It just feels very uplifting to me. This is just a happy fragrance in my opinion. And then in the mid, you have a lot of florals. There's rose, there's jasmine, there's ylang ylang, all different kinds of florals in the mid. It just smells so classy and sophisticated. And then in the base you have all that wonderful, classic, warm, clean smelling Chanel patchouli that I love and adore. There's also a lot of vanilla in here. There's also white musk and there's tonka bean in the base. It's just beautiful. I love it so much. It is such a classic and yeah, I definitely think this is the queen. I mean, this just deserves the top Hall of Fame status in my opinion. She deserves her own Hollywood star. That is Coco Mademoiselle by Chanel. All right, another classic iconic fragrance. This one's not as well known obviously as Coco Mademoiselle. I don't think most people that are outside of like the fragrance community really know about this, but inside the fragrance community, this is such a popular fragrance. People have strong opinions about it. People either love it or they hate it, but this fragrance came out in 2016 and is still talked about to this day, and I do think it actually has like a cult following at this point, and that is none other than Pasta Soir by the House of BDK. This is a fragrance that I fell in love with, and I just haven't stopped. Now, this was not a love at first sniff. I actually had a decant of this. If you're wondering why I'm saying how much I love this and the bottle's still full, it's because this is a new bottle. I had a decant of it first. I finished the decant, and I mean, I finished it quick too. I mean, I burned through that decant, and it was a nice size, like a big 10 ml travel size of this fragrance that I just burned through and had to get a full-size bottle. So I love this perfume. I think that this is absolutely stunning, and I would definitely put it in the Hall of Fame. I would say that Gris Charnel would also fit into this category if we were picking something by the House of BDK. I know that one also has a cult following, but I went with Pasta Soir because Gris Charnel just is a little bit too masculine for me, for my taste, and this is definitely the fragrance from BDK that I love the most. I absolutely love the ginger and the black pepper in the opening of this fragrance. It gives it such a spicy kick, but then right after you smell that ginger and black pepper, you start to get those citrusy notes. There's orange and there's quince in here. And it's very juicy, fruity, and the orange gives it almost like a citrusy vibe, but also a juicy, fruity vibe at the same time. But then when you mix it with the ginger and black pepper, it gives such an interesting contrast to my nose that I just absolutely love the way that it smells. I love contrasting notes, you know, when they just kind of complement each other but not clash, you know? I think that is such a beautiful combination. I just think the opening of this is spectacular. There's also orange blossom, there's jasmine in here, which I love those two white florals. This is not a super white floral fragrance. I get a hint of florals in here. And then you have cashmerean, you have some amberwood and patchouli in the base. I don't get a ton of patchouli in here, maybe just a little bit, but not a ton. But I do pick up a lot of like a woodiness from this fragrance. This is a very woody dry down to me, but not overly so to the point where it leans on the masculine side. I definitely feel like this is very feminine leaning in my opinion. So it's spicy, fruity, woody basically is the journey that I go through with this fragrance, and I absolutely love it. The performance on me is really, really good as well. I know some people struggle with the performance of Pasta Soir, but I just do not. I overspray it. I spray it on my clothes. It lasts a good 6-7 hours. Through most of my day, I can smell this. It's not super, super strong by any means, but it's definitely present, and I have a nice scent bubble around me. I've gotten compliments on this. I just think it's absolutely stunning. And it's just one that I would have to have in my collection all the time. It has definitely gotten to the top of its game and stayed there. This was super hyped up, super hyped, and it still remains to be hyped. And in my opinion, that qualifies for the Fragrance Hall of Fame. That is by the House of BDK Pasta Soir. Up next, we're going to talk about another fragrance that has a serious cult following. This has been hyped since it came out. I think it was in 2018, and it's still on everybody's list. It's on everybody's best vanillas, everybody's must-haves. When I hear people talk about this fragrance, it is referred to as a staple, and it is referred to as a must-have in your collection. And I have to agree, that is by KAYALI. This is Vanilla 28. This is a staple. Absolutely. Because even if you don't want to wear this on its own, this is still a staple for layering. This mixes with any other fragrance and just makes it sweeter, more vanilla. It is the best layering scent ever, in my opinion. I mean, it is just truly a must-have. And I think there are so many people that absolutely love this. This definitely is not fast fashion. It is not a one-hit wonder. This rose to the top. It has stayed there, and a lot of people consider this to be one of the best vanillas of all time. I think there are a lot of people that know about this that aren't in the fragrance community as well. My daughter, she just started getting into perfumes, and one of the first things she asked for was Vanilla 28. I just think that so many people love it. I think it's crowd pleasing. I think that it's, you know, it was sold out for a while there for good reason. And yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite vanillas. It's not super complex. It's very easy to wear. It does stay pretty linear to me. This just smells like a lot of vanilla. and brown sugar basically. There is patchouli in here, but I don't smell patchouli at all. So top notes, you have vanilla orchid and jasmine. I do get some of that vanilla orchid. I really don't pick up very many florals in here. Like I don't pick up jasmine in this fragrance. And then in the mid, you have brown sugar and tonka bean. Definitely pick those up. Definitely get that brown sugar vibe. I love it. It just reminds me of like baking, you know, it reminds me of baking cookies. I make chocolate chip cookies quite often, and you know, you have to have brown sugar for that, and it just reminds me of that. And then there's amber, amberwood, there is some musk, there is some patchouli, but I really don't pick up those base notes very strongly. To me, this is more on the sweet baking kind of gourmand side of vanillas, but not too much, you know, it's not like sickening sweet in my opinion. This is just perfect, and I think it's beautiful. Definitely deserves to be in the Fragrance Hall of Fame. At this point, I kind of feel like it's getting to be like almost iconic, even though it really did. I think it's 2018 when it came out, so really truly it hasn't been out that long, but it's getting to the point where it's getting well known and well loved, to the point where I do think at some point this is going to be iconic. So that is by KAYALI Vanilla 28. All right, another vanilla that has been around since 2007. This is by the House of Guerlain, and this is Spiritueuse Double Vanille, or is it Spiritus? Spiritus? I don't know. I'm always confused whenever I say this because there's an extra UE. So it's U-E-U-S-E. So I don't think it's Spiritus. I think it's Spiritueuse, right? Is that right? I don't know. I'm not sure. Don't ask me because I'm not the best at pronouncing things, so I'm definitely not the expert. I could be way off. I think it's Spiritueuse Double Vanille. But anyway, it's this one. And it's absolutely gorgeous. It is my favorite, like absolute favorite vanilla of all time. And like I said, this has been around since 2007, and people are still talking about this vanilla. People are still saying that this is the vanilla of vanillas. You know, not everybody says that. That's not how everybody feels. You know, not everybody thinks that this is the best vanilla ever, but a lot of people do, and I happen to be one of them. And I just think that this is beautiful. This is a vanilla that is unlike any other vanilla I've ever smelled. This is very boozy to me. Even though there are no boozy notes in here, I get this strong boozy vibe. So we had some family members over for Christmas, and there was a family member that wanted to know what I had gotten for Christmas, and because I had opened this early, and so I showed them, and she smelled it, and she was like, "Oh, it smells like vanilla and whiskey," which actually made me laugh. I don't get that at all, but you know, she's not really super into fragrances, and you know, it was the first thing that popped into her head when she smelled it. She was getting that booziness as well, and I definitely don't, I hate whiskey, okay? I hate whiskey. I don't like anything that smells like whiskey. So I don't get whiskey. I get like almost like a dark rum or maybe cognac kind of vibe from this, even though there's no rum and there's no cognac. I don't believe so anyway, listed in the ingredients, but I definitely get where she's coming from on that. It smells boozy to me. It is very vanilla, but not sweet. It is sweet. Don't get me wrong, it's sweet, but it's not like overly sweet, like baking cupcake sweet. It's very grown up, it's very sophisticated, and then in the base I get a lot of woodiness. This is just a boozy, woody vanilla to my nose. The performance on this is just okay. It's really not outstanding. I really wish it was a little bit stronger, but if I overspray and if I put it on my clothes, it will last me for about 5 to 6 hours, and I do have a scent bubble that I think is acceptable, and it just stops me in my tracks. It just stops me in my tracks when I get those wafts. I love it. It just puts me in like pure joy, pure bliss. And the people who love this, I feel like that's the reaction that they have. You know, the people who truly love this fragrance, if you know, you know. I can't get enough of this one. This is so good. And the bottle's really special to me. Yeah, just everything about this fragrance. But that's not what qualifies it to be in the Hall of Fame, right? Just because I think it's special. I do think that there are other people that really think that this is a special vanilla and still put it in their must-haves. You know, best of vanillas. If you watch a vanilla video where people list best vanillas, you better believe this is probably going to be in their video. And that definitely qualifies for Hall of Fame status in my opinion. All right, and last but certainly not least is a fragrance that I fell in love with this year. I have been missing out on this since 2012. This is none other than Herod by Parfums de Marly. Talk about another fragrance that got to the top and stayed there. Like I said, this came out in 2012 and people are still raving about this. I just watched a video from Sebastian, the perfume guy here on YouTube, and he did a ranking of all of the Parfum de Marly fragrances, and this was his #1. And I'm sorry, but if this is still your #1 after a decade, you know what I mean? Like, Parfums de Marly has come out with a few since then, but this one is still the favorite for a lot of people, not just Sebastian, a lot of people, and for good reason. This is absolutely stunning. Now, if you are a female and you are afraid of this fragrance because you think it's going to lean too masculine, give it a shot. Like, try it, seriously. I do not like masculine leaning scents at all. I will be the first one to admit that. This is perfectly unisex, and I do not feel like this leans masculine. I absolutely love this. This is such a sweet tobacco fragrance. This is a cinnamon, like, you have to like cinnamon. There's definitely a big dose of cinnamon in the opening. There's cinnamon and black pepper. To me, I don't get a lot of black pepper. I get mostly cinnamon. And then you have this sweet, sweet tobacco that smells like, you know, tobacco that's not been lit, you know, not the smoked tobacco. I don't like anything that's smoky or smells like cigarettes or, you know, burning tobacco. That's not my favorite thing. This just smells like sweet, sweet tobacco, and then in the base I get a huge, huge dose of vanilla. There's also cedar and musk in the base of this, and I will say I pick up a little bit of that cedar as well. There's a tiny touch of a woody component to this, but not over the top. So I mostly just get the cinnamon, the tobacco, the vanilla, and a tiny hint of some cedar. It is just absolutely stunning. It is truly a fragrance meant for anyone. I really do think anyone can pull this off. And I am so glad that I just got over my preconceived notions of what, you know, I would like and not like. I was actually at a boutique in Charleston when I tested this out, and I just kind of sniffed it out of curiosity. There was a boutique that had all the Parfums de Marly out, and I got to sniff everything. And, you know, I, of course, went to the feminine side, the female offerings first, and I went through and sniffed all of those. I really liked a lot of them, but, you know, nothing was really just jumping out at me. And then I decided, just for fun, to go over to the men's section, and when I smelled this on a tester strip, I about died. And then I sprayed it on the back of my hand, and I knew. It was absolute love at first sniff. I just love it. You guys know that I am a big, big fan of Angel Share. If you've been watching my channel, you know I rave about Angel Share all the time. I think that one would definitely fit in this list as well. But I'm not saying that this is beating Angel Share. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that this is giving Angel Share a run for its money, okay? That's how much I love this fragrance. It is up there for me. It is up there for me. So I adore this fragrance. It has really good performance on me. I don't have any issues with it at all. I would not consider this to be a beast fragrance, but it is definitely present. I can smell it for most of my day with a moderate scent bubble around me, and I just find it to be heavenly. So again, if you're a female, give it a shot. Just get your nose on it if those sound like notes that you're interested in. But I think this one definitely deserves to be in the Fragrance Hall of Fame. It is just an absolute beauty. And that is Herod by Parfums de Marly. Alright, you guys, and that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you to Sharita for tagging me. If you have not checked out Sharita's channel, I don't know what you're doing with yourself. I don't know why you haven't checked out her channel. I will leave her channel in the description box. Please go check her out. I will leave her video, like her original video, in the description box as well, so you can check it out. Don't miss that video. It is absolutely phenomenal. Like, her choices are just, they're just wonderful, and you need to check that video out for sure. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!